Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
Well, they say it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and right there is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Outlaws? Welcome back for yet again another episode of Football on the Know show for you guys.
Yeah,
you are the know-it-alls. You're part of the show. Make sure you're interactive today because we got some big questions to go over, and that's be going over the AFC and NFC East divisions. Trying to get an answer to all of them. We need you guys' help for sure. But before we do that, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button for us. Make sure you hit the thumbs up for us. Share it to all your family and friends. All that good stuff. But Jim, how you doing? Let's get into this thing.
Good, man. Yeah, I've been feeling a little under the weather again, like always, here and there. But I'm feeling better.
Be a track record now.
Yes. Look what I got here, Joe. Look at this. This is a good old red, white, and blue with the New York Giants fan. Now, this was given to me by one of our know-it-alls. Shout out to my buddy Kyle out there. Shout out to him. He knows I'm a Giants fan, so I got that. So we're going to be hanging that up in the studio. I'm excited about that. Yeah. So it's good to get gifts. Hey, if you guys know it alls out there too, if you guys want to send us more stuff like that we can hang on the walls and create a whole big swag wall, we'd appreciate that. No problem. We'll give you a shout out. We'll hang it up here proudly. We have a few different trinkets that we've already done and put up in here in the studio. So we appreciate you guys out there. So last week we talked about, some Jaire Alexander news and stuff, or the last time we were on. And now here you go, landing spots. He does land in Baltimore. We kind of brought up a little bit last week. We're like, Joe, don't be surprised if, Baltimore makes one of those splash moves. It didn't really make sense, but, a team that's, playoff bound, has plenty of depth there at that position, but why not another one just, again, so plug and play. Again, if he is healthy, and now with this, he doesn't even need to stay really, healthy, doesn't need to be their starter. So he even just put him in here and there and spot. I mean, you're not losing anything. You're just gaining. So this is a win team for the team and for Jaire Alexander as well. So
not just gaining talent, but also the amount of money they paid him is nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, he did not go for big money because he had bigger offers. He chose to go with a contending team like the Ravens, who are way more solidified with their roster. And you know what? And who knows what this means? Does this mean he starts right away? It might not, because they're not paying him hardly anything. He'll definitely have a role. I don't know if it's going to be starting or not, but like you said, like if he stays healthy, he's a premier elite corner and he deserves to start. But they also have this young core of a secondary. And it's like, are you going to debunk that, like one of those players now, just to kind of insert Jaire Alexander? Or is this kind of more like a depth move? You know what I mean? Of like, we'll bring him in slowly. We'll make sure he's 100% healthy. We're going to try to keep him as healthy as possible throughout the season. And then when it comes down to crunch time, if he lasts all year and then you're in the playoffs, then maybe that's the time they unleash him. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different ways that they can go. But again, it all starts with how healthy he can continue to be as he's coming back from another injury. And I'm curious to see how this all shakes out. I expect him to start because if he's healthy, it just makes all the sense in the world. Why would you go out there and sign a guy if you're not going to start him? But they do have some nice young depth pieces behind him now. So defense just gets stronger at this point, and the Ravens are well equipped and ready to go for the season.
Yeah, definitely, Joe. So, I mean, there you go. That wasn't too long. He wasn't out there too long. It's crazy how fast some of that plays out and how fast it goes down. So that just a week removed, there he is. He's found his home, and it is with the Baltimore Ravens. And, the rich get richer. Like we said, sometimes this is whatever people think this is the best fit right now isn't always the thing. You can see these other teams, these contenders or whatever, sneak in there, and then you're just like, oh man, they got him now. Like, oh man, they're so good now. It's like unbelievable, and that's why nothing surprises me anymore, Joe. That's why I never say never about a lot of these teams.
Well,
But
here you go, Jim. We got our first comment of the show here,
all
and
right,
it's
what do we
from
got?
one of your favorite fan bases, the Cowboys. It's Nathan. Welcome to the show,
Sarcasm.
bro. He said, "Cowboys winning the NFC East. Book it."
Book it. Book it. I don't think he said book it,
I
but
added
yeah,
that.
he
I added
says,
that.
oh yeah,
Little
you added that.
flavor.
But sounds like the typical Cowboys fan, right? You're like, yeah, okay. What else is new? Yep.
And then we got another one from our OG know-it-all chiming in is John Turner.
Hashtag
Yeah.
no balls.
Jair Alexander out 4 to 6 months for pulling hammy by getting out of his chair. Contract from.
His
There you
contract.
go. Breaking news, everybody.
Oh, I
This is
like it.
breaking news from our boy John, who was just on top of everything. Got up out of his chair that he signed the contract with and pulled a hammy. He's going to be done for 4 to 6 months. So there you go.
Man, I like
There you
it.
go.
I love it, John. John reporting right there.
That's right.
So
On the
yeah,
ground.
yeah, yeah,
Ground.
yeah, absolutely.
Ear to
So
the ground. This guy finds all the news. See?
yeah. Yes. And Cowboy fans are still delirious. But yeah, so I mean, we're gonna get into that right now. So I mean, you want to do the NFC East questions, or you want to do AFC first then?
Whatever you want to do, bro.
All right, well, we got Nathan right here. Let's do NFC first then, I guess. Why not? Cowboys, Joe. Biggest questions for the Cowboys here in the NFC East. What do you got? What do you got for the Cowboys? What's
Pretty easy.
bothering
It's
you about
the
the
ongoing
Cowboys?
debate about not having a running game and filling your backfield with guys that have failed in other spots. Former
Mhm.
Denver Broncos running back, Javonte Williams. You think he's going to be the answer all of a sudden to the Dallas Cowboys in their backfield woes? I'm just not buying it. I really struggle with the fact like it's great you got George Pickens, cool. You added another really good weapon. You have CD Lamb. That's nice. You're getting back Dak Prescott. We all love that, right? Like because that means the Cowboys are getting healthier. Maybe they can do something, but then without a running game, that's the biggest question for them. Is like how much better is that going to be? Even though you added another key piece to your wide receiving core, that's not going to help you on the ground. It, it's it. This is one of those things where you end up yet again becoming more one dimensional another season into it. Whether Dak Prescott is healthy or not, you have to be able to run the football. You got to balance it out. You can't be one dimensional. And this is the biggest question for me for Dallas is will they be able to establish a running game? And I don't think they're going to.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean that's gonna be tough. I mean, you look at again what they added to, and now you're hearing that in camp they're trotting out Cavante Turpin out there to do some running too. So
Yep.
they're trying
Yeah.
to mix packages out there with this offense to try and sprinkle some out there. So that's even telling you something that maybe Williams isn't working out so much, but maybe they're trying to just get a little bit more exotic with the running to try and
Mhm.
create some more space because we always
Right.
talk about too a team that can't run very well or don't have a strong running game. Try and create short to intermediate passes, something to kind of simulate a run type of play,
Right.
get some chunk
Yeah.
yardage, and you're seeing it with jet sweeps as well and things like that. So I can see maybe this is what they're looking into to try and generate some of that. I think the offense is still going to be pretty good here for them. But my question is defense. Yes, you added a bunch of different players, a lot of veterans too. You drafted a couple good players in the draft too. But Matt Eberflus is your new defensive coordinator too. So how are people going to adapt to that? And can your corners stay healthy on top of it too? Because again, within everything, the injury bug has really plagued this team here, especially on the defensive side of the ball, to where that's where they struggled a bit last year. Defense when they were healthy, Micah Parsons on the field, big time, making big plays and keeping the team in it. But again, when you got these injuries and now on top of it, Eberflus after struggling with the Chicago Bears at head coach, I'm interested to see how this defense reacts to him there and
He's not,
if
and
they
that's the
can
thing.
still
He's
play
not
at a
a
high
head
level.
coach. We already learned that. He's not a head coach.
Well, I
He
know.
is a
Well, yeah, we
good
know that.
defensive coordinator. So after the
Mhm.
scheme he puts in place, after the players start to gel with it, start to understand it better, play faster because of the knowledge of the game, when they start to acclimate well to that defensive scheme, they are going to be a really good defense. There's no doubt in my
Mhm.
mind. And the injuries is just like one of those things we throw up in the air because there's no way to predict how injured one team's going to be over another. So it's like I don't have any questions defensively. I just think more than not, it's going to be how fast they can gel with this new system put in place by Eberflus. If they can pretty seamlessly move into it and understand it and execute it, I think they're going to be just fine. But again, like my biggest question is I think is going to be on the offensive side, like it has been in terms of that game. And I think that's where the big of them becoming one more, too much of the one dimensional offense. But Jim,
Mhm.
you're a Giants fan. You know, give me your biggest question of your own team.
I will in just a second. I'm just going to hit up some of these chats out there. All you guys leaving comments, we appreciate it out there. Nathan says, "I said the East, not the Super Bowl. Won't win that until Jerry sells or dies or gets a real GM." Oh man, see
I
that's
don't think
true.
you
He
guys
didn't
got the
say
East
Super
either.
Bowl, so yeah, I don't. It's going to be tough. That's going to be a shootout. That division, man. It's going to be close either way. Even if you look at my
That
Giants here too, I don't think they're going to be horrible. Even though when you're
right.
talking about strength of schedule and all this other stuff. I think this division might be, a bunch of close,
Yes.
win-loss totals,
Mhm.
just because how tight it is in some of the teams that they have to face. And then also
Everybody got
John,
better in that
Mhm.
division.
Right,
Everybody.
right, right,
And,
right.
and the Giants, to be honest, I feel like from a personnel standpoint, got they got better the most. And when you have teams like Washington, who now all of a sudden, out of the last year or so, now they've took a major leap forward because they got the quarterback situation right. They're starting to build all that momentum. You got the Eagles that are already solidified as Super Bowl contenders. You know what I mean? So that division right there with the Cowboys. Cowboys got a big time uphill battle now. It's not as easy as it used to be where, there was two, even three teams struggling in that division. They could easily take it over. It's definitely going to be a climb for sure.
Mhm, mhm. John Turner, I like this. He says Micah Parsons playing out a string until he can be reunited with Dan Quinn in Washington. Book it. No, he's got one. He sounds exactly like a
Yeah,
Washington Commanders fan, right? Right, Joe?
that's right. That's exactly how it goes.
Oh,
Uh,
man. Yeah, so,
Parsons
yeah,
ain't going
it's tighter
nowhere.
knit because I mean, that's what I think is funny too, like, when you talk about, right now, the New York Giants, so many other people think that they're just gonna be so bad still, and I don't get how when you make improvements on defense, you make some improvements here on the offensive side. Yes, the offensive line has its woes a little bit here too, but they're making changes,
Mhm.
but you already have Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston if you have to, but I think adding Russell Wilson to this offense automatically makes you better. I mean, if you look at what, the roster was a few years ago for,
Mhm.
let's say even like kind of Seattle, right? And you had, not, I'm not even thinking, Legion of Boom or whatever days, right? But add Russell Wilson to that team that he had there with some of the receivers in that defense. Just I say like 2 years ago, was say 2 years removed.
Mhm.
Um, or even Geno Smith with the Seattle Seahawks at one point, the last couple of seasons. Uh, that was good. They still played well. And I think the Giants roster with the defense with Shane Bowen, what he did last year, I think they can even do better this year. And
Mhm.
now the addition of Russell Wilson with the running backs that we have, and you added some more weapons to help with Malik Neighbors, but then now we have a Jalen Hyatt sighting that him and Russell Wilson, we talked about it, a few weeks ago, a month
Yep.
or so ago, about we want to see Jalen Hyatt improve, and look, he's already getting along with Russell Wilson. They make the perfect tandem. That could be nice here, and that automatically makes you better. So I don't see how the Giants could potentially be, a bottom of the basement team this season. I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that has, they're starting to do the right things in terms of personnel. Now, whether that lands more productivity on the football field, we have to wait and see this coming season. But they're at least making moves. You know what I mean? They're making upgrades. You look at the offensive line right now. You know, Jermaine Illuminor coming back from injury, going to hold down that right tackle spot. You know, Greg Van Roten they re-signed. And it's interesting because in the OTAs, the coaching staff has admitted that they love what they see from Evan Neal at guard. Whether that means he can take over that starting position from Greg is a whole other thing. But we got training camp that's right around the corner, and they all added some depth pieces like Aaron Stinney to the offensive line, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know what I mean? John Runyon from Green Bay. Like they did, I think, a pretty decent job of adding offensive line talent, also adding, you know, looking at what they had available to them already in the receiver department and saying, you know what, we're going to continue to work with these guys. They re-signed Darius Slayton. I'm not a fan of it. I know you're not a fan of it, but the Giants decided to bring him back and continue to work with him. So, and then obviously the quarterbacks was like the biggest thing. Not only did they sign one, they signed two in free agency, but also they drafted another one that is going to be potentially the future for them. And I think Jackson Dart is going to be that guy for them. One of my favorite guys coming out this year. And I can't wait to see him on the football field when preseason gets here. His name up.
Right.
And how he's been able to kind of turn the mindset around offensively and saying, you know what, guys, we gotta have confidence, we gotta execute, we gotta grind. And you're seeing that in at least in OTAs. The amount of preparation and work that's going into the Giants is definitely very noticeable. And then turn around and look at what they did defensively too by adding more to their second and then the corner for the Saints there. I'm forgetting them. Let me see if I can pull them up here. Paulson Adebo. Yep, I already got it. Thanks, Jim. But
yep, no
Paulson
problem.
Adebo, like those are some nice additions there. And you know, the only real question mark now, and because like this was one of my teams that I thought might throw their hat into the Jair Alexander, and who knows, maybe they did. To maybe replace Deonte Banks, who struggled last year, and there's a lot of question marks around him coming into this season. But they've done a great job of adding talent up front with Abdul Carter, obviously, but then also going into free agency, adding those pieces on the back end of the defense, and really looking like a solid team going into 2025. So I'm pretty excited for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I think they only got better. I think they can definitely contend with the division still. Again, I don't think they're going to win, but if you look at the team the way it was set up last year, everybody's high on the Commanders, and we'll get to their question in a little bit, but we got to be buyer beware on them too. We also did the same thing, or we're reactionary with the Texans. Texans still made the playoffs, but they looked a little bit off too. And the Commanders barely beat the Giants twice last season, and they were a playoff team.
Right.
So I think the Giants now have gotten better since then. Commanders have gotten better, but I still think it's a closer, you know, the gap is a bit closer than it was even, we'll say, even from a year or so ago. So for me, the question for the Giants this season will have to be, I guess, are Brian Daboll and Joe Shane's, you know, jobs at risk at all this season if, you know, they do have an underwhelming season? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because we've been hearing about this, you know, the owner saying, I'm not happy with the way it's going. I'm not happy with the way it's going. But then now you gave them another year again. They drafted the quarterback of their choosing. So now you said, here you go. This is your quarterback. Are you really going to give them only this 1 year to figure it out, though? I mean, especially when you have like Jameis Winston or, you know, Russell Wilson as your starter, where I think you could do well. And then you didn't get a chance to see, you know, Jackson Dart at all. Maybe, you know, if you do, only in the preseason. So if this season is starting to go badly with Russell Wilson as the starter, you would say that they would have to put Jackson Dart in just to see what he has to potentially save them at all, to save face and say, hey, we at least grab this guy, give us, you know, another chance, or, you know, at least let us play this out, instead of saying, hey, these guys, this regime drafted this quarterback, but they've been losing for constant seasons here. I'm ready to get rid of them, but now you got to bring in somebody else that's got to groom this guy.
And that's the problem with today's NFL is that, when it gets close to your time as a coach, as a staff, you need to show results to hold on to your jobs. And there was, rumblings around the fact that last year they could possibly be fired at the end of the season. And it was a real thing. But the owner decided not to give them another year in the draft, give them another year in free agency, and then this season is their season to prove that they're going in the right direction. And the only way to do that is with wins. They have to win more games than they did last year, and they have to do it convincingly. Like they can't do, only get a few wins, only like 1 or 2 wins more than they did. They got to really show some kind of emphasis in that win column. If they can do that, and that will show the owner himself, like we are headed in the right direction. We've made some changes last year. It's paid off. We deserve another year, maybe even 2 years to show you what else we can do. And I think that would be the right decision is to hold on to them. I understand it would suck if they have yet another dismal season and then they are going to be axed. Even though they drafted the quarterback, that no longer spells job security anymore. It used to. Whenever you drafted a quarterback, especially high or in the first couple of rounds or whatever, it granted you at least a year or 2 more than your lifespan with the team. It doesn't do that. They don't do that anymore. And now it's all about, what production. What have you done for me lately? And this season is critical for the staff to show it, at least to show the owner some promise, some production, something to look forward to for the upcoming years. So I do think that this is a real, judgment year for the staff. And I think with the team that they've assembled, they've done a good job. And I don't have any real concerns of them at the end of the year when it's all said and done. I think they will end up doing enough to keep their jobs for at least another season.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's move on to the Eagles then. What questions do you have for the Eagles now moving forward?
None. I mean, what questions could you possibly have for the Eagles?
Right.
Like this is a Super Bowl contending team, one of the best rosters from top to bottom at every position. Like they have done a miraculous job, whether it be free agency, whether it be even trading for another player, or even in the draft. They seem to just always get high end, high talented players, plug and play, and they continue to keep moving forward. So this is a team that I kind of expect. They didn't even lose hardly anything. They got rid of a couple players, but they replaced them too. So it's like there's no real major weaknesses with them, and I don't really have any questions about them at all.
Right. Like, yeah, like the only question is like, oh, can they win it again? You know what I mean? Because it's just like, how good they are, and you can see the difference when they played, the Chiefs in the AFC to NFC. I mean, they just dominated. I mean, just all
Absolutely.
around good at all phases, special teams,
Yep.
defense, offense. To where again, that's why I think our video about the Jalen Hurts top 5 thing just generated so much reaction to it, because yes, they won. Yes, he was the MVP of the Super Bowl and stuff. And yes, he played well. But when you look at individual, awards and accolades, you got to look at a little deeper into it. So some people I'm sure have any other questions, probably facing Jalen Hurts again is like, hey, can he step up again or do this, or will the passing game be a little bit more involved this year, than it was last year, less Saquon or a little more balanced. Or again, just, hey, can they make it to the Super Bowl again? Can they, back to back?
Pretty sure they can.
So that's probably the biggest question, I guess, for the Eagles right now, because they're good on all phases. I think they're going to return, deep into the playoffs. So that would be my only question for them again is they're going to keep, running with Saquon here. They can get a little more balanced, and can they make it again? Which I think they can. What about now the Washington Commanders, Joe? What do you got for them?
Defense. They've done some improvements on the offensive side, and they were already good last year with Jaden Daniels leading the charge. They were tough to deal with. Terry McLaurin also involved, obviously. The whole situation with Terry McLaurin too around his contract, like, are they going to be able to get a deal done or whatnot? Let's just like the guy's a superstar. Eh, You don't let superstars move on to other teams, and especially a guy
Mhm.
that's still in his prime. So I fully expect that whole situation to get taken care of eventually, and then he'll get locked in long term with Washington. But the defense was the biggest, Achilles heel for them last year in the playoffs. They just couldn't stop
Mhm.
anybody. They couldn't hold anybody for any kind of length of time. They just kept giving up first downs and touchdowns and what have you. But they've done a lot of work on that defensive side of the ball. They brought in a couple of defensive linemen that are going to come in and start right away, plug and play guys. Javon Kinlaw, some people know him very well as a 49er who drafted him. He had a year with the Jets, uh, got hurt yet again. So you're hoping that this guy can not only stay healthy, but return back to somewhat what his form with the Niners. Deatrick Wise, formerly the
Mhm.
Patriots, comes over, a solid veteran who's going to
Mhm.
add some stability with that position and something that they definitely really needed. They got some other pieces too that they're going to work with, like Jerzon Newton. We know that they drafted him in 24. He's also a guy who's coming back from injury, but man, is this guy very special and highly talented. I can't wait to see what he can do this year. They have other pieces behind them that are good rotational pieces. And then you look at their linebacking core. Frankie Louvu returns, Bobby Wagner for another year, the field general in the middle there for them. And the secondary is kind of like my biggest concern right now for them is they bring in Jonathan Jones from the Patriots. They bring in Will Harris
Mhm.
from the Saints. Uh, Decent, but not great additions. I really like the rookie that they drafted, Trey Amos. I kind of expect him to take over one of those spots. Um, and then you got Marshawn Lattimore, who's always the question mark. We talked about Jair Alexander earlier in the show. Marshawn Lattimore is kind of similar in the fact that he's always injured. Is this guy going to be able to stay healthy for them long term this season? So they got some question marks in the secondary in terms of health, in terms of production. Is this going to be enough for them to overcome what happened last year? I say it's going to be better. I don't think it's you know, I don't think it's fine point answer where it's
Mhm.
definitely they're done enough to have that like top 15 type of defense, but I still believe that this defense can get at least, accomplish being a mid-range type of defense, maybe low 20s, late teens type of defense. So if they can do that, at least they're heading in the right direction on that side of the ball.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get that too. Defense. I was thinking about that, but then I was also looking at something that's glaring. Even though the offense was able to perform and kind of just get it around, it seemed like after a couple of weeks, then they just hit their niche. It seemed a little bit after they played the Giants for that last game that they played. When they think they won 25-21 or something like that. I can't remember, but that offensive line was terrible again, and that was all we talked about. Jaden Daniels had no time to do anything, making a lot of big plays. He took 47 sacks, and that's not just combined hits and everything. That's just sacks alone. With a guy, of his stature, we talked about even before the season started. Can he, take a hit? Can he stay healthy with that frame that he has? He got banged up a little bit late in the, near the playoff time, but was able to bounce back, still play. But he can't keep taking hits like that. And this team did go make that trade for Laramie Tunsil, and they did draft Josh Connerly. So getting offensive linemen here to help protect, and then also adding Debo Samuel and a few others. Even Michael Gallup, I think, was a pretty good pickup for them too, just to see what he can maybe do to contribute. Will help Jaden Daniels even more so that he doesn't, we see that sophomore slump kind of a little bit too. I think protecting him and then get him some more weapons here is only going to help him excel. And like you said, I think Joe, altogether, I think the teams, even though they had 12 wins last year, I think they're still going to be better, if not just as good here. So for my thing, it was basically like, are they going to protect him, and is Jaden Daniels going to have that sophomore slump? But I think again with what they did,
Yeah.
I think they did enough and set them up to have success.
I mean, look at all the moves that they've made in the past couple of years. Offensive line to me is not even a concern after adding Laramie Tunsil, like you said. But then don't forget Nick Allegretti, who they had last year, very capable starting caliber lineman. Right now, he's penciled as a backup. You know what I mean? Andrew Wiley, who started in this league before, he's penciled as a backup. Behind Tyler Biadasz, who was hurt last year, like you mentioned. Brandon Coleman, rock solid. And then for them to get guys like Josh Connolly in the draft, to me, like they've done a very good job this all season, especially not just adding talent for Jaden Daniels, but also adding protection up front and then doing whatever they could defensively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, we've got Mike Tackett's in the house with us tonight. Says, long time no see, guys. How are my two favorite football hosts doing? Sucks we lost Jair Alexander to Baltimore, but hopefully we get decent savings on the cap despite no compensatory pick. Yeah, I know it sucks when you lose something like that, but obviously he wasn't happy. And again, with injuries and stuff,
He wasn't on the
ultimately
football
sometimes the
field
team
either.
needs to make that decision, and that's what you hate to see it go. I mean, Mike, look at me last year. All right. We had the opportunity to try and re-sign Saquon and they didn't, and he goes and wins the Super Bowl with the Eagles. So I think nobody feels more crushed by the guys leaving than myself, even after last year. So I feel you, brother, on that one. And yeah, it's been a crazy month and stuff. Last week, I think I was just busy with work. Man, work has been slammed for me, so I haven't been on. And things. So, but we'll be on. We'll be hanging out more. And as the season's getting closer, Joe, a lot more exciting stuff. Camps are getting going and things. We hear a bunch of different stuff out there, different storylines, and counting the sagas out there of all the different guys holding out and whether they should keep them or not. I know even
Yeah,
some of
Mike,
the
Mr. Mike
what's up?
Tackett, you're not going to miss him at all because he wasn't on the field. Nothing's going to look different. He just missed so much time. You didn't even know he was still on the roster. So you guys are going to be just
Right.
fine without him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we just covered the NFC East, or now we're going to do the AFC East. Joe, kick it off with the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. What do you got for them?
Buffalo Bills, it's real simple. We even alluded to it last year. It's wide receivers, the wide receiving core. Like that's the biggest question about them. And they've had a rock solid offensive line. Josh Allen has played much better at this stage in his career. You got James Cook in the backfield, and then you got guys like Ray Davis. So it's like offensively, like they're pretty rock solid. The only thing is to me is like the second or the wide receiving core is amazing to me that they're going to rock with Keon Coleman yet again on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the belief that Khalil Shakir you could kick him outside. He could be a great number two. And then you have Keon Coleman in the slot, but that's not how they're doing it. They're actually putting Josh Palmer, who they just signed formerly of the
Yeah.
Chargers, and having him
Mm-hmm.
as the opposite outside receiver of Keon Coleman, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That to
Mm-hmm.
me, honestly, on paper, there's no clear cut number one on this team at all. With
Mm-hmm.
Diggs not being there, it's crazy to me that they're comfortable going into the season with the core that they have. I like Khalil Shakir. He's a football magnet. The guy catches a lot of footballs and makes a lot of plays and gets first downs and all that. He's very productive, but that's his role. Keon Coleman, we've already seen this as a rookie. I get it. There's always a bigger step, in terms of production for wide receivers the second year typically. And that's what you would love to see Keon Coleman be that X factor, but I just don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. I think this is a failed experiment to continue to put him on the outside and force him to be that outside receiver. So I got major questions. And then you look behind them, the only other guy that I will, give any kind of praise to is Elijah Moore. I think this is a guy who's very underrated, has not been a focal point of an offense, since he's been in the league. Like he started for the Jets, sure, but showed some flashes there. But this guy's been bouncing around, was with the Cleveland Browns, didn't really use him. Now you're here in Buffalo, and right now he's penciled as a backup. So I don't know what the Bills are doing offensively. To me, that's the biggest concern for them going into the season. Are they yet again going to be hampered by this going into the latter part of the season, trying to fight for the division, trying to fight to get into the playoffs? And then once they get there, are they going to be one and done? Because they don't have that X factor on the outside for them. They don't have the playmaking wide receiver, and that could rear
Mhm.
its ugly head once again for Buffalo.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm feeling you on the wide receiver thing. One other thing I guess I would add again too is, um, you know, how healthy is Joey Bosa going to be for this team, and how effective? Just because they've added a lot of different, weapons
He's
or,
already injured.
yeah, yeah, I know exactly, right? So, I mean, you failed really kind of on that Von Miller thing. He wasn't very effective for most of his career there in Buffalo. So they've been kind of looking for that pass rusher, that edge guy to kind of give him that little bit of edge. Because right now their top guy has been Gregory Rousseau. And then I think last year AJ Espinosa,
AJ Epinesa.
Epinesa had like 6 sacks or whatever. But they've been looking for that
Mhm.
marquee edge rusher dude. And they go and get Joey Bosa, and I said, "Hey, that works out if he stays healthy." But like you said, he's already injured.
Right.
So, what are you really getting out of this? You look for a guy like that. There's guys out there in the market, and this is what you get. I mean, so I think that's a big whiff for them if it turns out that he's still just injured. You know what I mean? When
I mean,
I think it's
thing
clear when it came playoff time, that's what they really needed here on this team.
the good thing is they have great depth, and Joey Bosa isn't of their defensive end, their pass rush. So, I mean, it would be great for them if he can get healthy, and they're expecting him to be healthy by the time that week 1 gets here. Um, but as good as he is, he's also at the end of his career. He's also mounted these injuries up to where now it's all catching up to him. And I I don't think if Bosa does go down, let's just say yet again with a season-ending injury, I don't think they're in panic mode because they still have former starter AJ Epinesa. They have Michael Hoyt, who came over from the Rams, who is a very underrated defensive lineman that can plug and play there too as well. So I think this was kind of like a move where they were like they knew the risk was there, but the reward is so great if he can stay healthy at all. So kind of one of those kind of things that's not really going to hurt them, even if it doesn't work out.
All right. Mike Tackett is with us. He says, again, jumping ahead, we don't mind,
Mr. Mike
Mike.
Tackett.
We love it when you throw your questions out there. He says, who is in the Jeremiah
That's right.
Smith sweepstakes when he goes pro? This guy with his Ohio State guys, man.
Whoever has the number 1 pick, like whoever's in desperate need of wide
Yeah.
receiver, that's who. We don't know
Yeah.
who, ranked in terms of like the draft, who's picking first, second, third. Like we have to wait and see there, Mike. I know you're jumping the gun. I know you're excited because you're a Buckeyes fan. You want to see where Joe Smith goes, but we're gonna have to wait at least. Let's get a better picture at least halfway through the season to kind of see who are the crappier teams and who are the better teams, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you what, I'll just say right now, I'll just take a guess right now. So if we play this back like next year, all of a sudden, and it comes true again, there we go. I say Cleveland Browns are in on it. They haven't drafted like a good wide receiver of their own. They've been always going to free agency, try and bring a guy in here, trying to bring a weapon in here and there. I say, especially if they find the quarterback of their dreams here, their future with the loaded quarterback room that they have, then they maybe have quarterback set. I say they go wide receiver, and there you go. Maybe Mike doesn't want to hear the Cleveland Browns, but there you go. That's who I'm guessing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. So, all right. Yeah. So we just talked about the Bills. Yeah. I mean, that was my concerns here. I agree with you on the wide receiver situation too, as well. Now let's move on to the Miami Dolphins, Joe. What do you think? Biggest question for the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins going to be defense again. Pass rushers, they've struggled to find a go-to guy, a guy that's going pass rusher. They tried Chop Robinson, but he's turned into more like a role player for them, a guy who they bring in rotationally. And don't get me wrong, very gifted talent, just get after the quarterback, but a guy who's not an every down pass rusher. And now that they're going into this new season of 2025, I don't really have any questions offensively. I think they've done enough to upgrade their offensive line in the holes that they needed to. They definitely are well equipped with a lot of speed on that side of the ball, receiver wise, running back wise. But defense, that's where they have to step up. And they've made some additions. They've drafted Kenneth Grant to kind of plug and play on that three defensive front. And with guys like Zach Seiler, who's an amazing underrated player. Benito Jones is going to hold down the middle of that defensive line. And then you look at Jalen Phillips, a guy who since 21 hasn't been the healthiest guy, and he's their version of an elite pass rusher. But the guy's got to stay on the football field. And then opposite side of him, you got to wonder, like Bradley Chubb, like is this guy going to continue to get better, or is he just what he is at this point? And if that's the case, he's kind of like just an average pass rusher, a
Mhm.
guy who's not going to give too much to Jalen Phillips. And still, we're here if you're a Dolphins fan, you're still wondering, like, dude, are we going to make any other moves? Like, are we going to make a trade? Are we going to try to sign maybe like a veteran pass rusher to at least kind of bolster the depth part of this team? And you have that is one major hurdle which I still think that they're still missing. They still should go out there and add more talent to the DN position or outside linebacker position that they like to run. And then even then, you look at the defensive secondary. And they've brought in a couple pieces. Ashton Davis from the Jets. I think he's a solid safety, but nothing spectacular. After losing Javon Holland, they bring him in. And then you got, Ifitu Melifonwu, who in strong safety from Detroit was a damn near Pro Bowler. Like the guy is
Mhm.
that is a great signing. But then you look at the rest of their secondary, Jalen Ramsey on his way out. Like everybody's expecting that day to come at some point, whether probably before training camp, he's going to be dealt, or are they going to bite the bullet and just release him? So we have to, if they do that, which we're expecting it to happen, behind him, there's no real answer. Behind him, that's a problem. And
Mhm.
you can say Jalen Ramsey's on the downhill turn. He's not the same. Of course, he's not the same. The guy's getting older. We've already have seen this, coming. And then you look at Storm Duck. Does anybody know who Storm Duck is?
No.
Because I'll tell you
Is
this
it a
right now.
Disney character? The new
It
latest Disney
sounds like a
character?
Disney character. I mean, this is a guy
Yeah.
from the
It's a
2024 draft
non-binary duck
who,
character for
yeah,
Disney.
who
Mhm.
they have penciled in as a starter, a guy who's very unproven. Nobody knows who this guy is. The guy behind him is Cam Smith, so that's what they think of him. They think he's better than Cam Smith from 23 in the second round. They drafted that guy. So if that's how highly they think of him, but if it doesn't pan out, you're looking at a Swiss cheese secondary on top of it. So
Mhm.
I think they've done a good job with their defensive line. The linebacking play is still going to be solid. It's not going to be great, but it's going to be solid. And then the secondary to me is another weakness. So defensively, I think the Dolphins didn't get any better. In fact, I think they got worse.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a couple of comments out there, and then I'll get on to my take here. I'll give a shout to Javon Manners out there. He said Josh Allen back-to-back MVPs. He's calling his shot. And we've got a
Not
Falcons
happening.
fan in here. Rise up, Dirty Birds. Let's ask a
There we
Falcons
go.
question, and we'll definitely put it out there for you. We love to hear you guys bring up some questions, so we don't care about changing topics. It's all about you guys. So he says, I
Absolutely.
know it's a little off topic, but what do y'all think of the Falcons this year?
I love
Go
them.
ahead, Joe.
I mean, honestly, I love them. Like you look at their defense last year before the injuries started to pile up, that defense was one of the better defenses, especially in the NFC. So if you have that and then you tag team the other side of the ball, which was probably the most praised side is the offensive, like everybody before the season started thought, oh, they got Kirk Cousins, they got Kyle Pitts, they got, Drake London. Like there's a lot to like, Bijan Robinson in the backfield. Man, just imagine the points they're going to rack up. And it just didn't work that way. Kirk
Mhm.
Cousins was a shell of him. That offensive scheme that they were using just wasn't working week in and week out, and they kind of imploded a little bit. But fast forward to this season where you got a sense late last year, Michael Penix, when he came in for a couple games, he showed a little spunk. He showed a little something that, there's life at the quarterback position, that he's going to be able to take over the torch and lead this offense coming into 2025. And it's real exciting because now you have uh, a a a shot of youth at the position, who a guy by all accounts is seen as a pocket passer, but has that mobility, has the ability to escape the pocket if need be. And you saw better chemistry, honestly. In limited time, you've seen better chemistry with him and the receivers out there. The offense
Mhm.
was a little bit more free-minded, like more creative with him at the behind the center. And going into now this season, I really like the Falcons. I think they're going to surprise some people. I don't think they're going to by any means like just all of a sudden hands down win the division and go to the playoffs. I think it's possible they can make the playoffs this year. But again, they got their work cut out for them. But I definitely think that they're going to, have some surprise wins that maybe people don't expect. And by the end of the year, they're right there chomping at the bid to become a wild card team.
Right, right. And that's the thing is like they have the, I think, advantage of being in the division that they're in right here. We talk about the NFC East, and now I think it's tighter. So it's going to be, I think, a low win totals for a lot of these
Mhm,
guys, for a couple of them. It's going to be closer, not exactly low, but it's to be tighter, to where
mhm.
now the Falcons, the, let's be honest, I don't think Saints are going to do anything. The Carolina, I think, is still growing. So it's between them and Tampa. But Tampa, I think, is still such a great team that the Falcons, I think,
Very
taking
solid, yeah.
second in that
Very good.
division is still good because again, I think they can beat the Saints and the Panthers multiple times and have a good year this year, especially with the additions, like you said. And from what we're hearing out of camp is that Michael Penix Jr. and Darnell Mooney are really, like you said, talk about chemistry. I guess they're really getting it together here this offseason here in the OTAs. So look for Mooney maybe to have
Right.
his best year yet of his career with Michael Penix Jr. So I think that
I
that's
don't
going
know,
to
man.
be
That's
good for them.
tough.
Mm-hmm. No, I
That's
get
gonna
it.
be tough. He's already had a 4, like,
I get it.
um, but I think here's the thing is, like, I know everyone's praising their players in OTAs and whatnot, but until we
Mm-hmm.
get to, like, preseason games, guys, I mean, we gotta really lighten up on, like, how good these guys look, in their shorts with no pads on and just
Right.
basically
Yeah. That's
practicing.
what's funny, even though when all of a sudden they're like, man, this guy looks terrible right now. So what does that really mean then? I mean, if they're just hanging out in the t-shirts and their shorts, but
We'll talk about it
um
when it really when we start getting reports
uh,
at a training camp that a guy's
yeah.
doing good or bad or even or whatever. That's when we can kind of gauge a little bit better on just how well these players are playing.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So thank you very much for the question out there too. But for me, getting back to the Miami Dolphins, for me, maybe the question is, can you be a cold weather team this year? Right? I mean, because we've seen it multiple times under Mike McDaniel's here, and to where I think some of his antics, the way he kind of handles the team, it's a little off-putting to some people. So he's kind of get on some people's nerves here. But they got to win and beat some of those good teams that are playing in colder weather, because this is what happens. Because a lot of those teams, especially like the Buffalo Bills, Kansas
Hmm.
City Chiefs, they're the better teams in the AFC. So you got to go to their
Yeah,
place and win. You're not playing
yeah.
in sunny Miami, what I mean, win those games. So you got to find a way to win those. And you talked about Bradley Chubb. He brought up stuff like that. We didn't have enough grit last year. Oh, this is a different attitude. We have a different mindset this year, changing the culture. Well, what couldn't you change the culture about last season, bro? Like, you had plenty of opportunity, because I don't think you're getting any younger there with some of your guys. You know what I'm saying? Especially you, Bradley Chubb, Ramsey out, so now's the time to do this, or else I
Mhm.
think, again, if they are another 1 and out in the playoffs, or potentially they miss the playoffs, even though he signed an extension before the 2024 season, maybe, we've seen Stephen Ross do this before. Maybe he does make that, twitchy, just, emotional decision and say, you know what, Mike McDaniels, maybe I'm just done with this because we're not getting any better. We're getting there, but it's not good enough. So
Yeah,
for me, though, at first it starts off with win in the cold weather, man. So get some of that done here.
I mean, if they do that and they do, in fact, get rid of Mike McDaniel, it'll be a huge mistake. Then he thinks it's bad now. It's going to get way worse than it will get better. It'll take a long time for them to recover from it because what he's done with that offense is amazing. Very creative mind, a guy who's literally had at one point or a couple of years had like the best offense at one point in the season. And
Mhm.
you just need the defense to go along with it. They've tried other defensive coordinators, it didn't really work. But it comes down to personnel too. And looking at their defense, it's just not there yet. And they need to do better on that side of the ball. It's not going to happen this year because clearly we just went through it and kind of picked it apart. But maybe next year they can get a little bit better and kind of, make that turn on that side of the ball. But until they do that, you can't expect the offense to solve all your problems.
Mhm. Mhm. Shout out to Ryan Cooper Smith. I think it's how it's pronounced. I apologize if I
No,
screwed
I
it up.
like it. Interesting name.
Eagles fans. Yes, I like it.
All right.
By the way,
Like it.
he's
Oh,
subscribed, Joe. He's subscribed.
Hashtag know it
appreciate it,
So
all.
bro.
he's part of the
Appreciate it.
know-it-alls out there.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely. Thank you so much for subscribing. Anybody else out there, again, I'll just make it real easy for you. There's a QR code right there. Scan the code right there and you can subscribe right away. So we appreciate you guys watching with us, especially you new know-it-alls with us. We appreciate you guys. Even if you're Eagles fans, let me know, what's your biggest question about your Eagles then? We already covered the Eagles a little bit. We said there's pretty much none. Like,
There's no
what's the
question.
other question? What are you going to have? And then Rise Up Dirty Birds again's got some more. He says the entire offseason is building a connection. Plus, we finally have a pass rush. That's one thing we talked about pre-draft is what
Yep.
maybe what direction they would go in and what they would do.
Right.
And then now he says, hot take. Here we go. Falcons beat the Commanders this year. Boom. I don't know. I think they can though. I think they can though, just because Commanders, they did get better. Yes, they were a good team last year, but again, last season their offensive line was terrible. They obviously got better this year, but I think with the way the NFL is, I mean, any week, it's anybody's
given
game.
Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could see it. I could see the Falcons beating the Commanders one day. I don't think right now. Oh, thank you so much, Rise Up. I don't think any other team is kind of just like that's a guaranteed win every single time, or even the Commanders after a great season that they had last year. That all of a sudden I'm not like, well, Dan Quinn is like one of the top, head coaches out there, and the Commanders are an elite team. I'd pump the brakes again. I'm just looking to see Jaden Daniels do it again, and stay healthy. Let's see what happens after this. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, Kyle's laughing because I even said even Eagles fans. I'll get out there. Shout out to Kyle. Kyle, hey, I got this again. Kyle's on. He's the guy that gave me this thing. Sorry, Eagles fans, trying to bust my thing, but I'm a Giants fan. I got this here from Kyle, so I'm gonna hang that up in the studio. But hey, if you guys got Eagles stuff, Eagles swagger, we'll hang that up in the studio too, Joe. I don't care. We got Raiders stuff up here. We got a bunch of stuff hanging up here. So when Joe's here in the studio, you'll get to see the whole studio again. So, because we have a whole big table and everything stuff. So send your swag. Yeah, absolutely. But Eagles fans, we love you out there. Again, and even though I don't like the Eagles, I was still rooting for you guys in the Super Bowl just because I'm over the Chiefs, man. I'm done.
Nobody likes the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs, again, they weren't a better team. It was clear.
No.
It was a clear, easy pick in this Super Bowl last year. I mean, the Eagles were easily going to beat them. All right. So next, Rise Up says also Dan Quinn always sells. Trust me, I know from experience. He does. He was part of that. The big playoff runs here too with the Eagles or the Falcons before. So I mean, I could see that being a good matchup. Again, when the Eagles when the Falcons do play the Commanders, I think that's going to be a really cool matchup here. But so where are we on? What team are we? Are we on the AFC East and the New England Patriots, Joe? I'm sure there's a lot of different questions here, but what do you think you got for biggest questions for the AFC East and the New England Patriots?
I really don't have a big question for the Patriots because we know that they're rebuilding. We know that
Mm-hmm.
they're not ready to compete. As much as Mike Vrabel will lead you to believe that they are going to make the turn so much that they're pushing for the division, uh, I don't think you can make it happen that quickly, especially with a young quarterback who has shown, he's shown production. He's shown what he could do last year when given an opportunity. Now it was all about, you know, filling the voids at wide receiver, offensive line, and then defensively, there was holes there too that they had to implement. So a lot of additions, and that normally doesn't spell success when you have that many changes in terms of personnel. So we'll see how the staff with Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator yet again. I mean, I'm sorry, who the hell would give this guy another chance? I mean, of course the Patriots, but
Brian,
I mean,
yeah,
like,
the Patriots.
I'm sorry because this
Mike
guy has
Vrabel.
proven before that he's just that bad of a play caller. The reason that when people look at Josh McDaniels when he last was in the with the Patriots, Tom Brady was there, that was the last time they were so super successful. That was it because Tom Brady was making the audibles, was making the changes at the line of scrimmage, and he changed a lot of plays. And Josh McDaniels gained all the credit for what Tom Brady was doing. There was a ton of arguments on the sideline between those two. So now you're bringing Josh McDaniels back with a rookie quarterback who's going to listen to, well, rookie, second year quarterback
Mhm.
who's going to listen to him because he's the coach, he's the guy. I've only been here a couple years. Um, and if he follows him right down that path, I think that they might struggle because of how inept Josh McDaniels is at game planning and calling a game and managing it. So, um, I honestly, I think I just came up with my biggest question is Josh
Right?
McDaniels. You
Dude,
know,
you stole my
can
question. That
he?
was my question. Well,
Can
my
he?
question, I'll just say my
Yeah,
question real quick is that
yeah.
will the offense improve under Josh McDaniels? And obviously you're saying no then.
No, no, absolutely not. And that's the thing though is we've seen this guy when he was given the opportunity, full power, whether it be a head coach calling the offensive plays or just offensive coordinator without Brady. He struggled every time, every opportunity. And now, yet again, given this another opportunity, which makes no sense. I understand Vrabel and him are boys, but man, this does not spell success. And I gotta say, like, I think Drake May, I'm terribly sorry. I'm terribly sorry that you're gonna have to deal with this guy. This guy is going to aggravate the hell out of you, and it's not gonna go well. So to me, hands down, that's going to be the biggest downfall of them this year. And I think personnel wise, they've done a pretty darn good job this offseason trying to overturn the roster, get the necessary players in place, and be as prepared as possible for this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean that's again that's a question I had because I'm like we've seen Josh McDaniels have success with the Patriots before, but has he really groomed a quarterback? And the answer is
Mhm.
no. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's the other thing is like
right.
before his last good, offensive take was there with Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
when we all know who Tom Brady is now. So I don't think it
Mhm.
was Josh McDaniels, the offensive guru, or else again, he would have even taken over the next coaching spot here for the New England Patriots, which he didn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so
Right.
again, his buddy Mike Vrabel brings him back in to get this offense going. I do like the additions that they gave to it, to help him out, on the wide receiver room a little bit. It wasn't a whole lot though, but something at least to give him
A lot of changes.
a chance. But overall changes with the team overall though. They made a lot of different changes.
Can
Um,
Stefan Diggs stay out of
but
court?
good, but
That's
yeah,
going to
can
be another
Stefan
one.
yeah, yeah, can Stephon Diggs stay out of court, stay off of a boat with weird substances?
Yeah. And
uh,
women that are way
and
younger
women,
than they should be.
yeah, right,
You
right,
know,
right, right,
just
right.
saying.
Yeah, man. Yeah, something going on there. But there you go. Shout out to everybody out there. I got the chat out there, so just so you guys are letting you guys know that you're being recognized out there. We see you. So you took my question there. I believe in that too. All right. So next, the New York Jets. What do you got for the Jets here and their question here? I'm sure there's a few different ones.
Yeah, there's a few, but I'm still gonna dive in on the one that I think will not help the Jets. As much as everybody wants to say that they have the answer at quarterback, I don't think they do. Justin Fields to me is the biggest question mark of this team. I like what they have. I like what they have, and I mentioned this last year. I did like the offensive linemen that they've added, but the problem is with them is that they all specialize in run blocking, not so much pass blocking, which is what you need. So in all actuality, it could just be the offense may struggle again this year because if Fields doesn't have time, he has the ability, obviously, to outrun defensive players. And that's not a question. We saw it in Pittsburgh. Um, my problem with Fields is that he has yet, as long as he's been in the NFL and he's been on a couple different teams now, he has yet to be able to throw from the pocket. He has yet to be able to march down the field as a quarterback, should and put points on the board when in the as a passer, not so much a runner. We've seen him in the red zone just run for touchdowns and all that, but what happens when they get behind? In Pittsburgh, in Chicago, those same scenarios happened when they got behind, he couldn't throw his way out of a paper bag to save them. And now, yet again, I know Jets fans, are excited because of his athletic ability, and I get it, totally get it. But at the same time, when it comes push to shove, and you have to play the quarterback position and throw the ball to get your team back into the game, that's where he struggles. So I don't expect Fields to be this all-time savior of the New York Jets, and I think that, maybe by season's end, the Jets fans are gonna, want his head on a pitchfork, because he might have lost games for them, and we've seen it. Like, I understand everyone keeps looking at the 4-2 record that he had with Pittsburgh, but you do realize that before Russell Wilson was healthy and ready to get back, he lost 2 games.
Mhm.
He was 4-0 and then lost 2 back-to-back games, and it's like, wasn't looking too good. So, you look at the evidence and you've seen his career up to this point. I'm just not sure, like, how well he's going to acclimate. And you can believe everything you want in OTAs, like we've heard before. Fields looks great in the green uniform. Fields and Garrett Wilson having that special connection and chemistry is building all this hype, headlines. But we really got to see the evidence on the football field against another team to really get a good idea of where they actually stand.
Yeah, actually, that was my question too, kind of basically too. So we're on the same wavelength there. I just basically was like, can Justin Fields be their quarterback of the future?
No, no,
And there you go.
no.
Justin, Brandon, your brother is in the house. He says Justin Fields about to get RG3. Oh man, another Falcons fan out there. All right, we got a lot of different guys out there. We appreciate you guys.
We got some people in the brotherhood.
Yeah, man,
That's pretty
absolutely.
nice.
Yeah, so because that's got to be the question here. Again, they don't sacrifice a whole lot when they bring him in there. So, I mean, that would be the question for the team because they're obviously going to be like trying to get better. They're not their ceiling isn't very high. Their defense I think is going to be good.
Yep.
But again, offense a big question mark. When you go from even what you had last year, even with the talent that they had there, couldn't muster things up. Interested to see what happens this year and if Justin Fields is kind of the thing holding the offense back again. Because we saw that last year with Pittsburgh when we talked about it, how the difference was when Russell Wilson came on and came back in, just the passing game just opened up. You know what I mean? They had a deep threat. You know what I mean? You started to see George Pickens do something. And before that, it was non-existent there,
Right.
So
Right.
Backyard football and running around can make some plays here and there and stuff like that, but it ain't going to get you the win. So,
Yeah, we got our boy Rise Up.
yeah, rise up.
He said, "Hot take: Michael
Another
Penix
hot
Jr.
take. He's put them all over.
Michael Penix Jr. being mentored by Matt Ryan throws for 3,500 yards and 30 plus touchdowns and 10 or fewer interceptions. There you go. There's your
That's
hot take from
that's
a Falcons fan.
that's a hot take. That
It is a
is
hot
that is
take, but
that
here's the
is
thing.
wicked.
Going into college, Michael Penix Jr. is very careful with the football. So
Mhm.
I kind of could see the 10 or fewer interceptions happen. 3,500 yards, I definitely could see happen. The 30 touchdowns or more, that's kind of a little high for him being basically his rookie year coming in. I could see maybe 20 plus touchdowns as being more of a reasonable goal for him. But hey, kudos to you, man. If he gets it, that'll be awesome.
I would say I'm gonna say 3,500 plus. I'll agree with that. I will say his best 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Yeah,
So
so that
that would
fits
be
under
it.
10 or
So if it
fewer.
just yeah, 10 or fewer, and then he's not gonna get 30 plus touchdowns. I don't think so.
But if he does, we're throwing a party here.
Yeah,
We're
we're
throwing a party for you
that's
Falcons
it.
fans.
We're
That's
gonna
what we're
throw a
doing.
party for Falcons fans if he
That's
does.
right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. So yeah, I say at best that's what he is. Say, Brandon, that's wildly unrealistic.
And Brandon,
And he's a Falcons fan.
yeah, by the way, Rise Up, my brother Brandon, he is a Falcons fan. So, uh, you know, I get it. I get the optimism. I love it. But that one with the touchdowns is a little high.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, you're talking about 30 plus touchdowns. How many players did that last year? And it was like the cream of the crop, right? The
Right.
top
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. Right.
So again, you're basically talking about adding Michael Penix Jr. to a top 5 quarterback, which
And
is
it's
not.
not that it can't happen. It's just unrealistic for a
I,
guy in his first year as a starting quarterback for it to
yeah.
happen.
Yeah, I think it can't happen, but sure,
I
yeah,
hope
it
it
is
does now, Jim.
unrealistic.
I hope it
Yes,
does.
yes, yeah. Because what kind of party we gonna throw? We're gonna throw an Atlanta Falcons party, and then
That's
like,
right.
who's gonna show up, Joe?
Just gonna show up. We're gonna give all the praise to Michael
Oh,
Penix. It'll be a
oh,
special,
nice, the Michael Penix
the Michael
party, the
Penix
Michael Penix
special.
party. So there you go. So that's it. That's it for the show then this
That's
week,
it,
right,
guys.
Joe? It's crazy.
Yeah.
We
Listen,
got a
if
lot of stuff planned though, Joe.
yeah,
Again, before we let stuff out or things out, but we are working on something. We talked to our buddy Steve Murray. We're working on something for next weekend. Trying to schmooze and some hobnob with some people and maybe get some more guests on with you guys though too. So we got a lot of big stuff coming up for you guys out there. So sit tight, and we definitely appreciate you new subs out there, Joe. Now tell everybody
yeah.
else if they're
Thank you
watching here.
guys so
You haven't
much.
subbed
First
yet.
of all, thank you, new know-it-alls and all the OG know-it-alls for showing up in the show, being part of it. This is
Hashtag
what it's
know
all
it
about.
all.
Our show is about being interactive with you guys, giving your takes, getting your opinions, throwing information back and forth. That's what it's always about. And really do appreciate all the new guys chiming in, especially subscribing. Thank you guys so much. It does go very noticed. It doesn't go unnoticed. But if you could encourage any friends of yours that loved football talk, that want to maybe dive into this next week with us, make sure you make them go over to and subscribe for us. Hit the thumbs up while you're there. Share it to everybody, and really appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Just do it.
All right, guys. That's it. Like Joe said, we'll see you guys in the next one. We had a lot of fun, and